you for stopping in. This is East Coast Sports Investors Closing Bell. I am your solo host this afternoon for Monday, May 15th. I am Riley Magnuson. I will be, as I mentioned, riding solo. Gonna keep it, as I always say, short and sweet, and especially in today's case, no NBA basketball, only one NHL Game 7, which we can touch on for a second. I, unfortunately, as I always say, cannot give you my expert opinion because I am not one in the sport of hockey. We'll do a little recap of the weekend, and then we'll run down tonight's MLB slate. A decent little Monday MLB slate. Not a full one, but still a good handful, more than half of teams in action today. So, yeah, it should be really solid here this next 20 minutes or so, and then we'll get out of here and be on our way. So thank you, Connor, for stopping by again, as you always do. Very gracious with your time, hanging out with us here on these afternoons. But going back, as I mentioned, obviously no NBA tonight. A little disappointing. We'll get there tomorrow night with the Lakers and the Nuggets Game 1. Followed by Heat and Celtics on Wednesday, Game 1 in the Eastern Conference. So, going to have some action heating up. Obviously, going back to Sunday, Boston takes the third quarter, 33-10, as the difference in that game. Second and third quarter, really, not enough being said about what they did in the second quarter to set that up. But third quarter, just boa constrictor, and Jason Tatum, obviously fantastic on the offensive side of it to pace the Celtics there. So they're going to be rolling in hot, ready with some firepower. And now we've got a rematch of in both cases, I believe it's a rematch of the bubble semifinals, the bubble conference championships, Lakers and Nuggets, and Celtics and Heat here. So interested to see if it'll turn out the same way there. Obviously, if you've been paying attention, we'll pull up. I haven't checked out any most recent updated odds on the series in that game, or two series, excuse me. As far as Lakers Nuggets minus 165 to start things out. Lakers plus 140. This is on a public book that I'm seeing, and Celtics minus 550 to repeat as East champions and get there and get into the finals. Jason Tatum minus 250 to be the finals MVP there. Obviously, the clear favorite there. So if you like any Heat action, you might have a couple swings, obviously, in that respect, with maybe Bam Adebayo, 65 to 1 to be the MVP there. But I digress, not saying that the Heat are going to win, but just saying if you are a Heat backer, then maybe also take a swing with Bam Adebayo on the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. But nonetheless, we'll get there. We'll start, obviously, with the Western Conference tomorrow, and then maybe we'll do a little double-edged talking about both of them tomorrow as Tuesday afternoon heats up, and we get into that series there. NHL Game 7 tonight, as I mentioned. We can touch on it for a second. I've got some notes from the big man, Jeff Dawson, as far as his thoughts, much more educated hockey thoughts than my personal thoughts for hockey. But Kraken and Stars finishing out the second round there in Game 7, and then I'm not sure exactly when the next round is starting. Obviously, last night you have Golden Knights, Vegas taking the 5-2 win to finish that series out. So we will get there when we get there. But moving into MLB slate today, and we will get on out of here short and sweet like we always do on these afternoon solo shows. One game in the tank, or excuse me, in progress right now, 3-1 Nats over the Mets. In the bottom of the fourth there. I believe the Nats are threatening for some more. Peterson on the mound for the Mets and Corbin on the mound for the nasty Nats there. So those teams will get along, and we'll update as we go along. But interesting slate tonight. First one up, kind of getting right into it. Interesting game to talk about. The LA Angels, and the Baltimore Orioles. About an hour and 20 minutes from now, 5:35 my time, 6:35 East Coast time. The Angels about minus 120 right now with the home team Orioles. Best spot you can find it plus money for sure. If you want the best price, you can probably find 104, plus 104, 105 elsewhere, but you should be at least at worst finding plus 100 at worst, I would say. Obviously, if you're taking the Orioles, definitely don't go without plus money if you can get everywhere else at plus money. But you've got Ohtani on the mound and Grayson Rodriguez. This hasn't moved too much from where it opened at, kind of right where it opened up at, actually. And if you're looking at this, you might say, wow, this is a little too good to be true with the Shohei Ohtani man on the mound. And I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. I would say tread lightly if you're a big Ohtani backer. However, As goofy as this looks, I mean, certainly, I'm not suggesting the other Angels, but definitely tread lightly. Ohtani hasn't been great for 3 starts in a row now. Last week we kind of were leaning towards even at home against Houston. The start before that, I told you why on the road, why some of these numbers for Ohtani might be a little funky a little bit there. And going back to last season and historically since he's been, close to MVP level guy that he's been, not bad on the road by any means. Still, if you just took his starts on the road, you would still be an all-star and still be an MVP candidate, just not as dominant as he's been at home. Last year, it was a sub-2 ERA at home, close to a 3 ERA on the road. So still all-star level, just not as dominant. Not suggesting he's going to get shelled tonight by any means. But in this case, that might be why you're seeing what you're seeing. In the Orioles case, obviously they've been playing fantastic ball. Plenty of people are cashing tickets on him, and Grayson Rodriguez has been a little all over the place. And on paper, his numbers would suggest definitely a lopsided matchup. And as opposed to maybe a bad Ohtani start, you might get a very good Grayson Rodriguez start if the Orioles are the right side tonight. Had a few rough ones earlier on in the season. Starting to round out a little bit, had a couple goose eggs against Detroit. Obviously, take that for what it's worth. But last time out against Tampa Bay at home, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 2 earned runs. Both of them solo shots, only 2 walks and 4 Ks. So in his case, this might be why you're seeing this number. It might be you might be seeing a guy in Grayson Rodriguez starting to break out a little bit in his rookie season. So that is if we see a Baltimore win, and it could even be a low scoring, and Ohtani might be really good, but it might be Grayson Rodriguez that's taking the cake here. But I don't know. One of those numbers that's as fishy as it seems, it might be a little too good to be true on the fishy side, honestly, if we're getting that serious here. So definitely tread lightly on the Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, that is fishy for sure. Something's going on there. But at the end of the day, it wouldn't surprise me if Ohtani has got a bounce back under his belt here. So counter apologies, I skipped over your question here. Let's see. Hockey one for you. I know what you say, but more philosophy. Stars and Kraken have gone over in every single game they've played against each other, regular season and playoff. How much does Game 7 influence your thoughts there? So if I'm being honest with you, as you mentioned, you know what I always say. I didn't even know that happened. I really do not stay. I'm a popcorn fan with the NHL. I really do not stay that tapped in. But if we have gotten to that point of that many over-unders going flying over, and now you're sitting here with an over/under still at 5.5. It definitely feels a little fishy there. It's a Game 7. You might be a little tighter. There's a lot of Game 7s are not as higher scoring, and that might be what leads to this one being the final one that breaks the straw. So obviously, if you've been cashing over upon over for however many games it is now, probably 10 games, maybe even 8, 9, 10, whatever it is, definitely, I can't blame you if you're trying to go to the well for that 10th time in a row. If you're just trying to get into it, obviously you should not be just starting the over trend if you haven't been at all to this point and you're trying to get that last ticket of they've done it 9 times out of 9 or whatever you're saying it is. So definitely buy everywhere. I'm not saying to cannonball into the under necessarily, but I've given all those factors for my as unbiased and not really knowledgeable thoughts on hockey itself. I would definitely tread lightly on the over. But again, I'm not saying cannonball into the under, but in a lot of sports, and I know hockey is from at least anecdotally, I know hockey in Game 7s, you sometimes are a little tighter. You're a little weary to, fire as many shots off. I don't know. You're a little more tentative with the puck and whatnot. So, no, I definitely wouldn't be if it's that many times in a row. I definitely would be a little hesitant to go to it for the 10th time in a row, especially with it 5.5, 6 as opposed to a 6.5. But at the end of the day, I would maybe even consider an under. But again, who am I to talk about hockey here? That's just me doing my best there. So aside from that, I do know, as I mentioned, Jeff Dawson was telling me maybe take a look at the Stars team total over 3.5. So that does contradict everything that I was just saying there. So maybe the Stars are ready for this game and it's a 4-1 game and it does stay under, but the Stars are lighting it up or something along those lines. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. If what you're saying is true about the over and it's cashed that many times in a row, then definitely tread lightly. But I'm doing my best. I appreciate the question. Very good question, but doing my best with what I'm seeing here with hockey. So, Yeah, with that being said, if the Stars are scoring upon scoring like Jeff Dawson thinks, then maybe the Kraken are the team that's keeping this one under, and they go 0 or 1 goals or something like that. So that is the best I can do for you. Sorry, I can't help you out better than that, but I do appreciate the conversation because I love talking about it and trying to learn more about hockey because I am a fan, but just don't know the sport well enough to feel comfortable calling, giving advice or anything along those lines. So. Back into baseball, the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Yankees 23-19, Blue Jays 24-16. Cordero and Manoah on the mound for the Blue Jays. We've talked a lot about Manoah on this show in the past, whether it be Jeff Dawson or myself or both of us. I know Jeff Dawson, a big Manoah guy, and I've had the opportunity to talk about his starts the last couple here. And last point that we were at, still kind of the same thing, not really rounding into form quite yet. A lot of walks being given up. Last time was still in it. It's either hits or walks. They got one gem of a start against the Yankees the first time around. So I don't know if you think the second time around he's going to have another gem or a regression start against this Yankees team. Back on April 22nd, one of his he had two very, very good starts this year. Both of them 7 innings. Like I'm saying, the one against the Yankees, 2 hits, no runs, only 1 walk, 5 Ks. But now these last two at the Red Sox, 5 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs total, only 2 of them earned, 1 walk, 3 Ks. Then last time against the Phillies, 4 2/3, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, and only 1 K. So he's really laboring through these starts. He doesn't quite have the control. The days sometimes that he does have the control, he might not have his best stuff. So I've still been staying away from these Manoah starts. I do expect him to become the guy that we've been accustomed to knowing him over the last couple of years at some point. But to put it frankly, I mean, I don't know if he's recorded these losses necessarily. He's only 1-3 on the season, and obviously I'm not a huge pitcher record guy. But my point with what I'm saying is they've only won one of his last 4 starts outright at the end of it, 3-2 win. Even the start against the Yankees, they lost that game 3-2. So at some point you should expect him to kind of become the guy that he is. I am personally waiting for it, if you ask me. So that is where I'd be at with this one. And as far as the Yankees, with Cordero on the mound, this is kind of a bullpen day as far as that is concerned. So, and I personally do not enjoy trying to get into those type of starts. So another one where I'm kind of treading lightly on and kind of backing off of Manoah a little bit again, waiting for it to have a nice one. Or waiting for him to have a nice couple more starts in a row before I really see that he's back to what he was. And honestly, seeing this Yankees team for the second time after really dominating the first time, I know he's had some success against the Yankees, so if you're playing that card and you think he's going full-fledged dominating the Yankees, then by all means, you're more than welcome to tackle that angle for yourself there. But I again, with the bullpen day for the Yankees and waiting on Manoah to finally break out and have that consistency, I'm just staying away from it. Over under a 9.5 is really eye-opening here, so another reason why I might stay away from this one, and maybe one of these teams is getting blown up a little bit there. So I'm staying far away from that one. Mariners and Red Sox, decent little series this week here. Mariners 20-20, Boston 22-19. Boston, this line's been on the move a little bit today. Boston opened up about -125, 130, if I'm not mistaken here. As long as that information is correct, and now I'm seeing the Seattle Mariners as -120 favorites. So as far as this one is concerned, George Kirby for the Mariners and Houck for the Red Sox. Red Sox starting to regress. The pitching staff not holding up. Obviously, that's been a little issue all season long. The offense these last couple of days has not been supporting them at all there. Sweep at home against St. Louis. Now welcoming in a AL team, fellow AL team in the Mariners that's starting to play a little better. And, if you're looking ahead optimistically for both these teams, you probably think this is kind of a big early non-division series here where these two teams, if they have any postseason aspirations, are probably going to be fighting with each other for the wild card. So you would imagine there's some extra fire as far as that is concerned. Seattle's obviously playing a lot better baseball than they were right now. So pitching staff starting to round into form. Offense doing what it needs to do for the most part there. Just took 2 out of 3 from Detroit in Detroit there. And as far as George Kirby is concerned, fantastic last time out, and has been, aside from he's got his opening start giving up 4 earned runs, and then only one other one giving up 3 earned runs, and everything else has been 2 or less. So he's been really solid. Only 3 walks total in 44 and 2/3 innings. So the control has been dynamite. He's given up a couple the higher number of hits than he'd probably like the last couple, 6 and 7. But the fact of the matter is George Kirby's rolling along. But with that opening number, you might think, and the Red Sox after the getting swept, you might think that maybe Kirby's due for some regression. Red Sox offense due for a little bounce back. Houck's case is a little questionable as far as he's been a little all over the place in the month of April. Not bad, not great. 3 earned runs or less, or 2 or 3 earned runs in all 5 starts exactly. 4.5 ERA. A little bit of regression with 6 earned runs a couple weeks ago against Toronto, and then kind of back right to where he was with 3 earned runs against Philly. So I guess where I'm at with this one is maybe I'd enjoy a little. This is an over-under a 10, so somebody's getting blown up in this one. Maybe a little. I don't know if you can find plus money on it, but maybe the Red Sox to get to 4.5, 5 is kind of eye-opening with how well Kirby's been pitching. So I'm treading lightly on it just because Kirby's control has been out of this world, but it does kind of suggest that maybe one of these guys is getting blown up today. If not both of these, maybe a 7-6 type game between these two teams here. So I'm treading lightly on this one. I honestly think this Red Sox offense could have a nice day and bounce back with some Kirby regression. So that's kind of what I'm predicting there. And if you can find, you might have to find a flat 5 to get plus money on that team total for the Red Sox. There's the only tricky part. Brewers and Cardinals. I kind of predicted the Cardinals to, and maybe not a hot take by any means. Anyone that's had high expectation for them in the offseason has probably been doing the same thing as I have. They took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. They just swept the Cardinals, so they are kind of out on a mission here trying to get these wins back. And another big series here. So 2 huge series to do what they did, 5-1 on the road. One against their division rival, one regardless of who it is, Red Sox, non-conference, whatever, to get back into that column. Now playing their other division rival in the Brewers, team that they are, as of now, chasing. Brewers just swept the Royals. Didn't have their best stuff against the Giants or Dodgers on the West Coast last week, but took care of business against the Royals, a bad Royals team, so needed to do that, obviously. But you got Freddie Peralta for the Brewers and Jack Flaherty for the Cardinals. Anyone that has followed this Cardinals team, Flaherty has obviously been a little bit of a frustrating point there. Guy that was supposed to be the kind of the centerpiece of this rotation for years to come. These last couple of years going on to this decade, really. Was a little bit better against the Cubs. 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned, 5 walks. So really kind of just scattered all of those. So really not that much better. Just good at getting out of jams in that game. The time before that, 10 earned runs. So I really have no interest in touching Flaherty right now. The entire fan base is very frustrated with him, from what I understand, and rightfully so. So I really don't know what to expect from him. This could be a very, obviously another ugly one where he's getting blown up, and actually those runs are actually coming to come around to score a lot here and get a hit up a little bit here. He's facing a guy in Freddie Peralta, who obviously last year was very injured. Only made a handful of starts, was kind of rounded into form a little bit, but obviously 2021, 2.81 ERA, 10-5 record over 27 starts. Has been pretty solid these last 3. 2 earned runs or less than 3 straight. Last time out against the Dodgers, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 Ks. So you might suggest that he could be due for some regression. And this one's obviously just tricky. You're kind of either predicting Peralta regression or Flaherty bounce back. And in Flaherty's case, I'm not so sure. I'd be a little better suited to say Peralta might regress in this one, but with an 8 total, you're kind of getting a thought that maybe one of these guys could be really good and the other one not so much. So I'm not necessarily suggesting this. This seems a little too good to be true for Peralta. Honestly, this one's just tough to read with Flaherty on the mound and potential regression for Peralta, and with the Cardinals playing a lot better baseball. So to see them at plus money with how they're playing is a little concerning, I'd say here. So I'm going to lean towards the Brewers in this one, but that is kind of out on a limb with that one. And again, it's just really trying to stay far away from Flaherty before he either continues to be this guy and he's just not a very good starting pitcher, or rounds into anywhere close to the guy we expected. So that is my thoughts with that one. I'll move a little bit quicker here and skip a couple. Cubs and Astros, Taillon versus Valdez. I was very high last time on Valdez versus Ohtani, and Valdez showed out and proved me right in that one. Surprisingly enough, he's only got a 3-4 record. But this is a guy that I really respect. like I said, 3.4 record, 2.38 ERA. However, he has been really good this month. 2 starts, total of 14 innings, 2 earned runs against the Giants, 1 earned run on only 1 hit, no walks, 12 Ks last time against the Angels. And for a struggling, very recently struggling Cubs team, I shouldn't say it's a hard struggling offense by any means, but a team that's regressing from what they were, and then in a pitching staff that has certainly regressed. However, in this case, Taillon is the exception to the rest of the rotation had been pitching plenty above their skis up until this point, and now is regressing. Taillon is probably going to do the exact opposite, where he has not been very good. 0-2 with a 6.4 ERA. Could be going the opposite way to kind of balance that out a little bit for them. So I expect him to, not whether it's tonight or in general, I don't know. I would expect Taillon to start rounding into form a little bit better here. But I'm still, and maybe I'm becoming more of a Valdez homer, I don't know, but I still respect the hell out of Framber Valdez. I don't, plus money if you're going the run line, but we don't like doing home team run lines there. And they're really making it tough to get into this one. Minus 125, 130 on the first 5, minus the hook. So you really got to be in love with Valdez here. And like I mentioned, Taillon could bounce back, absolutely could bounce back, and this could be a really low-scoring game. So a total of 7.5. I'm honestly kind of leaning towards the under 7.5 in this one, and maybe even look at an Astros under 4.5 team total. It looks like it's pretty juiced, so tough to get into there. But at the end of the day, I think this one could be a little lower scoring than you might expect with how Taillon has been. And I'm going to be here with Valdez at that level. I'm going to suggest that he's back at that level again for the Astros. So I'll go under 7.5 in that game tonight in Houston for the Cubs and Astros there. Another one, I'll mention a couple more, and then we'll get out of here. Reds and Rockies. So obviously, if you saw me last week, you heard me talking about this Rockies team, trying to get them back at home and trying to get them rounding into form, at least at home. They did play they had been playing a little bit better. Got smoked 2 out of 3 against the Phillies. So unfortunately, this weekend did not live up to what I was talking about here. And now at home against a Reds team that is kind of treading water a little bit here, actually. But 8-11 at home at Rockies. The main aspect here of what I've been talking about is at some point I think the Rockies are going to start playing better ball at home like they had been the last couple of seasons. However, to see them plus money today is a little concerning. You've got Seabold on the mound, I believe, for the Rockies, who is pretty much all over the place. He was very good his last couple of times, or last time out, I should say. 5 innings, 3 hits, only 1 earned run, 3 walks, 3 Ks. So very good, keeping the runners off the table, obviously. Had been only going 2 or 3 innings before that, and it wasn't exactly pretty. So I kind of would expect a Seabold regression start here. It's kind of keeping me away from the Rocks tonight. On the other end, though, Hunter Green for the Reds. Fireballer, obviously. A little up and down, but he's starting to round into form this season at least. Last 2 starts have been a little shaky in different respects. May 5th, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 home runs against my White Sox, 1 walk, 7 Ks. And then last time out, 5 1/3, 6 hits, only 2 earned runs, but 4 walks and 4 Ks. So it's a little tough to predict what you're going to get out of Hunter Green. If you're betting on this Rockies team today, it's because you think Hunter Green is going to be erratic, walking people, trying to get 3-1 counts over the plate, giving up some bombs. So if that's what you think, then absolutely you could consider this Rockies team total over here. But at the end of the day, it is a little sketchy there. I will lean towards the Reds beating up Seabold a little bit more than I would the Rockies beating up Green. But at the end of the day, you never know with Hunter Green on the mound, especially right now, is still, despite how talented he is, still a little bit of a question mark. And this Rockies offense at home could be a little all over the place as well. Seabold as well in his respect. But I'll lean towards the Reds today. But look out for me the next couple of days to potentially be looking at this Rockies team at home there. And then skipping over a couple, we will finish it out with that Twins and Dodgers game on the West Coast tonight. Pablo Lopez, Noah Syndergaard. This one opened about Dodgers minus 120, still sticking right about there. And this one is obviously tough because you've got a 26-15 Dodgers team. 23-18. Twins team starting to play better ball again. Their offense, 11 runs, 16 runs these last 2 days. And And let's see, last check here. Actually, you know what? I got to backtrack a little bit, and Jeff Dawson would yell at me if I didn't bring this rule up. St. Louis and Boston played the Sunday night baseball game last night, and you've got the Cardinals making the travel. They are traveling home, but the Sunday night travel going home. So, again, tread lightly, even more cautious on the Cardinals tonight is what I'm saying there. I just had the epiphany as I'm almost done here. But the rule goes, if a team is on the road Sunday night baseball, then has to travel. You like him to travel even further on the road, but still having some travel, it is a little sketchy there. So, it, again, might be interested in the Brewers tonight there. But back to last one here, Twins and Dodgers. Syndergaard on the mound for the Dodgers and Lopez on the mound for the Twins. Lopez, 2-2 record, 3.47 ERA. Started off the season really hot, had a couple of regression starts, now has had 2 back in the very good column. Still a little against the White Sox, 7-6 hits, so more hits than you like, but only 1 or 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 8 Ks. Last time out, 6 1/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run, which was a solo shot, but 4 walks. So that was the highest number of walks, so I think you could probably assume that that's going to go away there. And then in Syndergaard's case, obviously giant, big, fat question mark with Syndergaard whenever you're getting him on the mound. He has obviously 1-3 record, 6.12 ERA. So to see them as the favorites, despite the better record against a really solid pitcher, after the Twins just scored double-digit runs in back-to-back days, I think it was, at home, now making the travel. Maybe Noah Syndergaard's getting through this one a little more unscathed than you would expect. Not saying I'm going Dodgers. I guess I'm sorry, I am saying Dodgers. Not saying the Dodgers smoke Pablo Lopez necessarily to fly over their team total. Might not hate over 4.5. Not sure what to expect out of Lopez, but maybe you get a nice Syndergaard start today. This is one of the ones where he keeps him off the scoreboard, and the Dodgers are in position to win a game or at least can compete in the game. So that is where I am leaning. I'm going to lean Dodgers tonight, despite Syndergaard on the mound up against this Twins team that offensively is 11 and 16 runs the last 2 days. So that is where I'm at with that one. Total at 8.5, so kind of suggesting that we're not going to get another free-for-all of runs from the Twins there. So that is what I am thinking tonight in the MLB. Again, if you are looking for NBA, there is no NBA tonight, so we will be back tomorrow. PGA Championship week, I do believe, so we will have some golf content this week. I will anticipate having a golf blog this week. Been off from the golf blog a little bit, so I will be back with the major this week. And we will get some action rocking and rolling. So, again, thank you, Connor, for stopping by. Appreciate your comments and questions. Very much appreciate the discussion, especially in hockey, a sport that I am not by no means am I an expert on. So I appreciate the back and forth on that one, 100% there. But at the end of the day, I appreciate everyone for stopping by. I will go ahead and get on out of here. We will have some stuff going on tomorrow. I don't know if there's anything in the day. I know Jeff and I will probably be back a little later, even a little later than this, maybe 5, 6 o'clock. And then I believe he's got Scotty Webb coming on to talk baseball tomorrow evening, 6 or 7 or even 8 o'clock his time. So we'll have to double check with that one, and obviously stay tuned. But I think we'll be a little later, at least in the evening shows tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, and we'll get rocking and rolling with some basketball and probably some golf as well throughout the rest of the week, and obviously getting started with the next round of hockey games. So appreciate everyone for stopping by. Happy start of the week here, and as we roll along, keep yourself posted and stay tuned, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you all.